After saving cinema with Top Gun Maverick and getting a Best Picture nomination, producer Tom Cruise didn't show up to the Oscars. The answer why may surprise you. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and no, the answer isn't just because he was afraid of Scientology jokes. So many people are suspecting, but actually Jimmy Kimmel has even admitted, no, we had planned 3 minutes to honor him, a 3-minute chunk of the monologue dedicated to Tom Cruise, honoring him and his role in the reviving the movie industry. We were so disappointed when we learned a few days before that he wouldn't be there. Jimmy loves him and really wanted to celebrate. In fact, Jimmy just had Tom Cruise on. It was almost like Tom was vetting him before the Oscars began to ensure there wouldn't be any really embarrassing jokes at his expense if he came to this year's Oscars. And yes, he was planning to come to this year's Oscars. So why didn't he show up to this year's Oscars? Well, apparently, last minute, he heard his ex-wife, Nicole Kidman, was going. That is the latest report coming in. That was the reason, because Nicole was attending, he decided to stay at home. And it made me realize, that added to the fact that he may have felt a little slighted by not getting Best Actor, which some people said. I don't think that was the reason. Maybe he was a little bit worried about the jokes, but it seems like he was more worried about running into Nicole Kidman. And I wondered, well, whatever happened with the two of those? What really happened in that divorce, that breakup? I wanted to do a deep dive into this marriage, and it was fascinating. So I want to bring to you the truth behind Nicole Kidman's divorce to Tom Cruise, because a lot of this surprised me, and it did make me look at things differently. And now I'm not speculating on a lot of this. I'm going to speculate a little bit, but a lot of this is all pulled quotes that I went back and found from Nicole. She very rarely spoke about Tom, but she has spoken about the divorce, about Tom, and about their children. Let's get to it, shall we? All right, so, they met during Days of Thunder. They were together for 11 years. Tom says under 10. Nicole says over 10. California has a rule. If you're married for over 10 years, you get full alimony forever. But that doesn't seem to be what they're fighting over ultimately. They met on the film Days of Thunder, which was sort of a race car version of Top Gun. She was first big role here. And they proceeded to make Far and Away together. They did 3 films, and then they also did Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. Nicole and Tom were together for a very long time, 11 years according to Nicole. And the most telling thing I could find was from their divorce papers back in 2001. Nicole basically replied to one of the filings that Cruise put, and she said in those filings, "This came as a shock to Kidman." The paper said on December 24th, the parties had happily celebrated their 10th anniversary with a group of friends during the balance of December, and thereafter, the parties were intimate. In fact, Kidman became pregnant by Cruise, but lost the baby through a miscarriage. This would have been the second miscarriage. She will reveal an earlier one later. Kidman's response said she protested Cruise's intention to dissolve their marriage and urged him not to leave, but to enter marriage counseling with her or take other steps to address whatever problems may have existed in their marriage. But it didn't work. Cruise said his decision was final and he departed the party's home, the documents noted. A lawyer for Cruise echoed the star's earlier cryptic comments, stating that Kidman has always known exactly why the parties are divorcing. Neither Cruise nor the attorney provided elaboration. And again, this is a point of conflict, whereas they said Cruise is saying they ended it before the 10th anniversary. Nicole Kidman saying no, they kept going through February 4th, because again, after 10 years of marriage in the state of California, spouse is forced to pay a lot more money if they until the partner remarries. The actress is seeking joint custody of their 2 adopted children, adding that a custody arrangement would be contingent on Cruise's agreement to communicate, consult, and from time to time meet directly with Kidman as to all the important issues affecting the children's general welfare. And she, again, would prefer to move to Australia, where she was asking. Anyway, they did finally come to a resolution, and they shared custody for a while, but the kids eventually chose to live with Tom Cruise. So I pulled some other quotes and also quotes from the children. I want to break this down because this, to me, is the most telling reveal. She's going out publicly in these papers by admitting, no, I didn't want to do this. I wanted to seek help. Can we seek help? And the big excuse and reason most people deem is Scientology is what broke up Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. And yes, I tend to speculate there as well. It does seem like that's the cryptic comment. They know exactly why they're divorcing because Nicole refused to play along with Scientology, is what it sure seems like. And that's only going to be echoed as we continue to look here. So she spoke to Harper's Bazaar. And, she doesn't discuss her divorce interviews. Was it over Scientology? Only she knows. But when I ask her if she felt annoyed by the press focusing so manically on her relationship, she says simply, I was young. I think I offered it up. Maybe I'd gotten a bit more trepidatious, but I'm always trying to be as open as possible. I just prefer to live in the world that way. She is quiet for a moment. I'm weary at times and I've been hurt, but at the same time, I much prefer a warm approach rather than a prickly shutdown approach. My husband, Keith, says that when he met me, he said, how's your heart? And I apparently responded, open. And so again, she's happily married and now shares 2 children with Keith Urban. The two are always talking about how much they love each other. But that was one of the most recent rare quotes that Nicole gave. But if we go a little bit further back, we go to this New York Times article from 2020, a few more years. They asked about Eyes Wide Shut, that last film they made together with Stanley Kubrick. I've been wondering about the total. Here it is. You've mentioned Kubrick a couple times. It's obvious working on him with Eyes Wide Shut was important to you, but I've been wondering about the total immersion and the personal psychology analysis that he asked of you and Tom Cruise as a couple for that film. At any point in the middle of that, were you all like, this is weird, we're doing that we're doing? She responded, no, this is where the fallacy is. We loved working with him. We shot that for 2 years. We had 2 kids and we're living in a trailer on the lot primarily, making spaghetti because Stanley liked to eat with us sometimes. We were working with the greatest filmmaker and learning about our lives and enjoying our lives on set. We would say, when is it going to end? We went over there thinking it was going to be 3 months. It turned into a year and a half. But you go, as long as I surrender to what this is, I'm going to have an incredible time. Stanley, he wasn't torturous. He was arduous in that he would shoot a lot, but I'd sit on the floor of his office and talk, and we'd watch animal videos. He said animal videos were so much nicer than animals were nicer than human beings. Though I do remember we were watching a wildlife thing where you saw the lion going after an antelope and he could hardly watch it. Interesting, isn't it? In Eyes Wide Shut, you have that monologue in which your character is talking about infidelity and says to Tom's character, I was ready to give up everything. That speech is all about emasculation and emotional aggression. If you're acting those scenes with the person to whom you're married and doing it as part of this immersive process, can it open up negative feelings that later you maybe wish you hadn't opened up? Again, he's sort of article writers smartly trying to get that Tom Cruise intro. And Nicole quickly hits it out and says, that fits the narrative that people came up with. But I definitely didn't see it like that. We were happily married through that. We would go-kart racing after those scenes. We'd rent out a place and go racing at 3 a.m. I don't know what else to say. Maybe I don't have the ability to look back and dissect it, or I'm not willing to. So again, she's refusing to ever bash Tom Cruise. She does not want to do it, and she paints it as such a happy marriage. And so it made me wonder about the kids, because they're now adults. What happened, and what has she said about her kids? She responded, I'm very private about all that, her children. I have to protect all those relationships. I know 150% that I would give up my life for my children because that's what my purpose is. Speaking candidly about her 2 eldest children who practice Scientology, they are adults. They're able to make their own decisions. They have made choices to be Scientologists. And as a mother, it's my job to love them. And I am an example of that tolerance, and that's what I believe, that no matter what your child does, the child has love, and the child has to know there is available love, and I'm open here. I think that's so important because if that is taken away from a child, to sever that in any child, in any relationship, in any family, I believe it's wrong. So that's our job as a parent, to always offer unconditional love. I mean, wow, really, really, really true, factual, and it's hard to not read between these lines and think about how Scientology rips people away from people who are suppressive people. According to a former Scientologist, Leah Remini, in her book Troublemaker, she reported, and the Daily Mail wrote it down here, that Isabella once called her mother an effing SP, and SP is a Scientology term for suppressive person or someone who doesn't support the church. And sure, that is what she said in this documentary. Now, apparently, Leah was there. She was still heavy in Scientology and was at the wedding of Katie Holmes when this all went down. And you can see here, Nicole, they adopted. This is what was interesting from this article that I wanted to pull as well. So I'm glad I highlighted it because it reminds me here. Nicole and Tom adopted Isabella. This is the daughter, followed by son Connor before they divorced. Isabella was born in Miami, Florida, to a married Scientologist mother of two, who, according to later media reports, decided she couldn't cope with a third child. Now, I'm heavy speculating here, but I'd never read that before. And it's interesting because I wonder if the biological mother is part of Isabella's life. Again, you have your father, you have your mother, both hardcore Scientologists that could definitely make a child go a different way and be told that Nicole is the suppressive and not helping. And from everything we've learned from people who have left Scientology and spoken candidly about it, it's scary what they do to people who don't practice their religion. It really, really, really scary. And I don't know how anybody justifies it. There's no way to treat your adopted mother this way at all, in my opinion. Following the breakup of Cruise and Kidman's 11-year marriage, the pair initially shared custody. However, the children later chose to live with their father in Los Angeles. Both Connor and Bella embraced Tom's belief in Scientology, with the religion cited as a wedge between Nicole and her children, and director going clear. The Church of Scientology has since denied the claims, while Nicole has previously refuted speculation of a divide prompted by her children's religious leanings. Speaking to Vanity Fair in 2013, she made it clear she had no desire to battle with her children's religion. I've chosen not to speak publicly about Scientology. I have two children who are Scientologists, Connor and Isabella, and I utterly respect their beliefs. So now all this is coming together. She said previously she will always be there for love. She will never knock them down. Again, for Nicole to maybe want to bash Tom's religious beliefs, she refuses to do it for her kids. And so because the kids share this too, again, not much speculation here. It seems pretty cut clear to me. That's where this all came down to. She can't speak against it. She's got to support it. And what's interesting is Katie Holmes, I guess, was more supportive in the beginning. I just found this fascinating. She admitted this in an article here in People that Isabella and Connor called her mom because I guess Katie was more open to it. All this comes to a head where you see these infamous photos of Nicole Kidman leaving the divorce attorney after she signed her papers. These became iconic memes and images of Nicole celebrating, woo, as she left the office, sort of finally free, which is really interesting to see her. And those became very big images. Take that as you will. But later, as Katie Holmes then faced her own divorce against Tom Cruise with child Suri, who allegedly doesn't see Tom Cruise much anymore because Katie doesn't practice and I guess is also a suppressive person. Katie Holmes apparently turned to an unexpected ally. She planned to divorce Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman. They've spoken over the last few weeks. A confidant told us Nicole has been very supportive, saying she's been through it too and to hang in there. After nearly 11 years, the kids, Isabella, here it is. There it is. Days of Thunder's co-star married in 1990, where the Australian actress gushed to the BBC. I was lucky at 22, that I met someone who fascinated me, amazed me, and could keep me interested. She explained, I walked into the Days of Thunder audition, and Tom stood up and shook my hand, and I just remember electricity going through me. But his supersized fame was difficult for Kidman to accept. I became very famous very young. I became very famous, but because I was the wife of somebody. I felt I became a star only by association. I didn't think my early movies were very good, which is why I would always cower in the background. The actress confessed, I thought, I don't deserve to be here. We would go to the Oscars and I would think I'm here to support him. I felt it was my job to put on a beautiful dress and be seen and not heard. Kidman had hoped, however, that her high wattage life would be settled down. I knew it was really big star, but after a while, to get to a real place in a relationship, that has to wear off. He was huge, still is, the Moulin Rouge actress told Ladies' Home Journal in June. To me, he was just Tom, but to everybody else, he's huge, but he was always lovely to me, and I loved him. I still love him. From the minute Tom and I were married, I wanted to have babies. She revealed an earlier miscarriage, and we've lost a baby early on, so that was very traumatic. So again, what's really fascinating about all of this, sorry, going through a cold, she clearly loved him. She clearly loved him. She was clearly hurt by him. And this was to me the most telling. I'll leave you this comment from Elle magazine, an article she did, where she talks about, Keith Urban, her relationship, and that she didn't let on that they were dating until after they were engaged. I didn't foresee it, Kidman said, of committing again to Urban. That you can meet somebody who you have a deep and more profound love with. I don't mean to take away anything from Tom, but I would hope that he has the same thing. I know he has the same thing with Katie. You move on to a stage where you're able to be a fuller person in your relationship. I want to be really careful with that because I don't want to take away from 11 years with the man that were very important. With that man that were very important. Really, for our kids, they were amidst a lot of love. It wasn't bad. And now they're amidst a more evolved love. So, yeah, there you go. This, to me, this summary right here sums it up better than I think anything else could. She refuses to engage because she wants to respect her kids, even though they're adults now. She refuses to ever speak badly about Tom, about Scientology. And instead of not even just not speaking, she speaks very positively of Tom. And so going back to where all this began and we go through these divorce proceedings, these papers that came out, it's hard to not see Nicole as hurt and bothered and trying to fight through this religious difference and still wanting to be there to support her man and her children. And then they're ripped from her. He walks off and says, nope, it's final. What could cause that? What could cause that? I don't believe it was infidelities. I don't know what could have caused it. It's hard to not suspect it was Scientology. And to not only use Scientology to push her out of your life, but then the children, yeah, that could be a good excuse why you're afraid of confronting this woman in person. That's just my 2 cents. What do you guys think? Look, I like Tom Cruise as a movie star. I root for him. I think his movies are a lot of fun. I don't want to sit here and knock the guy in his personal kid's life, but Scientology's hard to ignore, man. And I wish Tom would just wake up and throw it under the bus like he should. They lift him up, and I don't know what he knows, but enough of this. It's just scary to see all these people hurt by Scientology. And if this is true, and Tom was afraid to even run into Nicole Kidman, that says a lot, I think. What do you guys think? If you want more breakdowns and rundowns and more historical pop culture moments like that, hit that subscribe, hit that bell for alerts, smash that like button, and leave a comment down below. What other things would you love me to revisit? I want to hear your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on Popcorn Planet.